Look at this chart from 95percentgroup.com. They have a lot of really great educational resources. But I wanted you to see this particular chart. Notice how these phonics skills increase in complexity, from letter sound correspondence all the way up to multisyllable words. They even share with you the grade level expectancy at each of these stages. But what if you have a second grader who's expected to be learning predictable vowel teams, unpredictable vowel teams, yet is still struggling with letter sound correspondence and CVC words? Still stuck focusing on alphabetic principles. I have a really great strategy that I want to show you that will help support these struggling readers and help them get past that critical stage of their literacy development.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Burkett, and I'm here to show you another really great video about a strategy that you can be using with your students. Now, I just got done showing you this here on my iPad. This is actually a chart that I share with families very, very often, because a part of my educational philosophy is maintaining communication with families at every stage of a child's development. That is critical, that there is this conversation as they're developing their educational experiences and also developing their reading history. We want to make sure that every child has a positive reading history. And this can only be accomplished through making sure that we're communicating the strategies we're using. Because there's a lot of strategies that should not be just used in schools, but they should also be used at home, especially with students who are struggling with their literacy development. We have to be able to intensify this instruction, and we want to be able to do it with research-based strategies. This one here behind me is called an Elkonin box. Now, what's really cool about this is it goes back to research from the 1960s. So this research strategy has been around for a while. And as simple as it is, I want to be able to show you at different stages, different examples of how this Elkonin box is used, so that you have different methods of using this great strategy. And it's not just for kindergarten level students. Remember, reading development and children occur at different times. It is our job to make sure that we're giving them the very best instruction so that they grow at an appropriate rate. So, different strategies that are used to develop this phonemic awareness really begins with understanding what phonemic awareness is. And phonemic awareness is the ability to be able to recognize that words that are spoken have sounds in them, and students to be able to understand and identify those sounds. And then it moves to individual letter sounds or letters that are connected together to make sounds, such as blends. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you this strategy with Elkonin boxes and how we can practice this segmentation of these different phonemes. Now, phonemes are just a fancy term for different letter sounds. Now, I do want to include that phonemes themselves can be more than one letter combined to make that sound. So if we look at the word key, k, e, it has two phonemes, even though there are 3 letters. So, going back to this exercise right here, we want students to gain a strong understanding of phoneme segmentation and be able to divide these words into their appropriate sounds. So, if you have a child that is still in the letter correspondence stage or is still working with alphabetic principles, this is a really great strategy for that. So what I want to do is I'm going to demonstrate how we use this strategy. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use one method in which what we have here is the Elkonin box,
And then we have these dots. Now you can use simple counters. Of course, this would be done on a flat surface where you would have an Elkonin box drawn out. Now you can literally take a scratched piece of paper, draw that box out, and a few counters. You can use pennies. You can cut out your circles like I did. So for this demonstration, I just cut out these green circles and for me to be able to demonstrate. So let's start with this first picture here. So with students that you have that are developing, they're still at the alphabetical principle stage, we still want to use visuals to help them identify the word. So we would ask them, what is this a picture of? A picture of a dog. So repeat after me the word dog. Dog. Let's sound out the word dog. And this is where you would demonstrate by moving your circles. Each of these dots, these circles, represents a different phoneme. So, D, A, G. And then we would have the student practice with you. And just like the research behind repeated readings and how successful they certainly can be, repeated practice with Elkonin boxes is critical for students to help master these different phonemes and these different letter sounds. So, it's their turn now. D, D, A, G, G. And I would even ask them how many sounds are in the word dog. D, A, G. 3. Very good. Now, let's start forming a word now. Let's put a word together. So, D, repeat after me. D, D, Og, Og, dog. Notice how I started blending parts, blending letters together. Because we don't say dog, we don't say D-O-G, we say dog. So we're starting to kind of dip in some of these phonics skills of starting to sound out these word parts. Now, another method that you can use, so I'll put my dots off to the side. Let me show you how you can do this with the actual spelling of the word dog. Now, unlike when you are labeling different parts of sentences and things like that, when you're doing Elkonin boxes, you want to keep your color combinations minimal. Just like you would if you were identifying parts of a addition or subtraction or any other algorithm, you would use a minimal amount of colors as to not confuse. So what I'm going to do is I want the students to be able to see my consonants and my vowels, and I want consistency to be able to distinguish between consonant and vowels. So my consonants are going to be green. And my vowels will be red. Same activity, but without the dots. Now we're actually looking at letter correspondence. We are looking at identifying the written letter with the sound. And Elkonin boxes are not just for developing that phonemic awareness, but if we think about spelling strategies, the ability to decode difficult unknown words, this at its core is the very foundation that helps students develop those skills. So, again, the letter D, D. Or you can ask them, what is the sound of D? D. Ah, ah. And they'll repeat. G, G. D, Og. Dog. Excellent. Now, here is a variation to where you can build on this by using this pattern, Og, this blending these two letters together, Og. We can get rid of the D, and let's add a J. They will begin to make connections with the patterns of Og in dog with the letter sound of J, J. Og, jog. And maybe we change it one more time to
log, log. Now, this picture here, you could just as easily remove and have a different picture. A picture of a log. A picture of someone jogging. To jog. And this will help them sound out and identify not only the visual, but also the individual letter sounds themselves. Elkonin boxes are a fantastic way for developing those phonemic awareness skills. So, with the other examples, I showed you using the dots or counters and just focusing on the spoken word sounds and had a visual aid. Then I kept the visual aid and showed you the written word and each letter in each box that represents each individual sound or phoneme. Now, I had also showed you how we could change the first consonant so that students can begin to see a pattern from these two phonemes together just by changing the first letter. And that adds to a bank of words they're able to identify because they have now acquired this new sound, such as og, dog, log, fog. Now I'm going to show you a third method. This time, I'm still going to use the same two markers as I did before. Trust me, I would love to use these other colors, but I can't. Because I want consistency in the instruction and I want consistency in the strategy, so it really helps them maximize the retention of what I'm teaching them. So again, red marker is for vowels, green marker is for consonants. This time we're going to use a digraph, sh. Now remember, as you know, digraphs are two letters that make a new sound. The individual letter sounds are not distinct when blended together. Then I'm going to use an R controlled chunk, such as R. And then I'm going to end with a single consonant phoneme, P. So now I can work with a student and I can have them focus on this is a digraph and have them isolate and really think about how these two letters go together and make sh, r, p. And what's really exciting is if I wanted to just focus on digraphs, watch this. What was my first digraph? Sh, a, p, shop. If I was just focusing on the short vowel O, you remember how I was working with OG. This is a great bridge of introducing digraph while still reinforcing the short vowel sound. Just like the mighty power of Thor. It's the tools that we use and how we use them that makes the biggest difference. Elkonin boxes are one of those tools. They're a critical component in any teacher's toolbox. I hope that you found this video helpful. Hit the like and check out some of my other literacy videos. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys, and keep on growing.